I love costume designers because I always feel like you guys are really close, a tight-knit community, really supportive of each other, and some of you go a long way back. And Michelle, you said Ruth got you in Living Color. So can you just talk about like the camaraderie in the costume designing community and like how close you all? Because I feel like even if you haven't met each other, you know like mutual friends, and it just seems like a really tight-knit community.
You know, I think we're so blessed to be in 892. We're really proud of it because you get to meet extraordinary women and men that have so much talent, and I'm so proud of each one of these women here. And I've known Ruth we started back a long time ago, and we've seen this business really change. So to see her to win her Oscar was a proud moment for me. So it was a proud moment. I start to tear up as I talk, but she gave me in Living Color.
Yeah, well,
Which,
there weren't very many African American costume designers at the time. Spike Lee was doing his films, and I was working with Spike. Mm-hmm. And then back here in Los Angeles, it was Keenan Ivory Wayans and Robert Townsend.
That's right.
And so I kind of bounced back and forth every year for like 10 years. I went back and forth between New York with Spike Lee. I did 14 films with him. And then coming here to Los Angeles. And occasionally they would do pilots. They would do In Living Color. They did Hammer Slammer. They did some pilots. And I would come on. And they liked the fact that, you know, there were other African Americans who were wanting to be in this industry. And it really was a campaign, if you would, for diversity and enlightenment and bringing, you know, people, all people of color into the industry and giving them experience. That's right. So Michelle had been in television, doing a lot of TV. I mean, she was the TV girl, and I was like the movie girl.
Yeah, you were. That's right.
So if I did a pilot or something and it went to series, you know, Michelle was next in line to grab it, right? Mm-hmm. So we had, you know, there was enough space for us, you know, to kind of flourish and get a lot of experience.
And I think, not to keep going, but I think you're proud of each other, so you want to give each other, you know, a pat on the back. So I don't think there was any, with us, I don't think there's any jealousy. There wasn't, you wanted to empower other designers, you know, so I think that was really, we were really blessed to be in that season of our lives where we got to empower each other. Mm-hmm.
Gersha, Jenny, do you have anything else?
We empowered them too.
Yes, I mean, you know,
you weren't a part of In Living Color.
Right. You know, two of my best friends that are costume designers are also in this audience tonight. You know, so they very much, you know, inspire. Christine Watt and Ann Foley right there. They inspire me very much, and we grew up together. You know, we assisted for a very long time, and so we kind of, you know, you support one another. It's not just, it's like, you know, you make those phone calls where you just need somebody to tell how horrible that day was, you know, and they know. You don't have to go into all details. You know, they know and they support you that way. But it's, you know, it's also really learning from the movies that you've seen that everybody's done or the television shows that you watch and then saying, you know, I really like that piece, interesting. Can you tell me who your beater was? And we really open up to each other because we want to support. We want it to look better and better. And it's so challenging now. Everybody's stepping up and you know, we're pushing each other, but it's supportive and it doesn't feel at all competitive at all. It feels really wonderful to be a part of it. And I think, you know, I really have to say commend Ruth on her big win, and she's really stepped up for the costume world and really, you know, helped us. And we're getting a lot of attention. You know, I think it's becoming, these bigger shows are getting really recognized, and people are talking about it more, which is really important for us because, you know, a production designer said to me the other day, she said, you know, we do almost the same thing, but you have an added quotient to it, which is we have to deal with humans.
Yeah.
And there's emotions involved, and you can't imagine sitting up a 50-foot, you know, a screen like this and somebody looking at you. It's emotional, and it's an undertaking. So we are supportive of that, and it's emotional for us. It's difficult, it really is, but it's having the support and knowing, you know, just talking to Michelle about Tracy tonight, you know, just help, you know, it helps. You know, it's wonderful.
Gersha, do you want to say anything?
No, I'm totally in agreement as well. I think the support of everybody in the community has been really great. And, we have other friends here too. Antoinette's here, who's been a friend of mine for like 20 years, over 20 years. And, we've sort of come up together as we've been going along. Actually, she started before me, and I started working for her. So, it's been, and then she works for me, and I work for her. And so it's been a really great journey. And also Ruth, I've known since '95 as well. We worked together on several films in Toronto. And
I
got to help
called
with her.
Gersha when I got Black Panther.
Yeah.
Your first call.
Please help me.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you do some? She said, I'm on vacation in Paris.
No, Italy.
I said, oh, Italy. I said, oh, great. Go to look at the sculpture. I mean, the statues. Take pictures.
Yeah,
She did.
Yeah, it was great. And armor in London too. I took pictures of
And
armor.
you like leather.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, I do.
Leather and black. We know that after tonight.
No, but it was really great because I got to do a lot of really interesting research for Ruth as well, which was really great, looking at African history and all kinds of amazing things. So that was also really cool. And it was
of
great to
female
collaborate
warriors.
with her.
Well, in that same vein, like who were some of your mentors when you were starting up, and what is it like for you now to mentor up and coming costume designers?
Well, definitely Ruth was definitely one of my first mentors. Also, I worked with E.C. Smithsenden when I started out, who was really great on American Psycho. I assisted her on that project. And some other Canadian costume designer, Antri Newson, and Reese McConaughey, I think that's how you say her name. But some other really great people, but more Canadian designers that are not as well known internationally. But lots of really great people. And now I do try to mentor new people that are coming up. And, it's great. It's an interesting position to be in now to do that and to, be able to help people that are coming. It's really great.
Yeah, I was an assistant for a very long time to one designer, Mary Zofries, which, I owe her a lot of everything that I've learned. But I think it even goes back to, in the 80s, when I was watching movies, there's everything. And I think when I first met Marilyn Vance, I thought I was going to have a heart attack. I mean, she basically raised me off of all those John Hughes films, being in Missouri and not knowing that anything, I couldn't find anything like that. And just, and so there's moments like that where I'm a fan too, and you meet designers and you've seen, they're actually personable in the things they've done. So, I mean, the list is endless. And you meet somebody that just did, something that touched you, and it's kind of like you're fans, but you're also you connect too, and it's such a wonderful space to be.
Mine, since I come from the television land, is that I think Rhett Turner was one of mine for me, and Rhett Turner and Bob Mackie. I remember I used to do, you had to wear black back in the day, and I think they still do, but you would do a backstage at the Oscar with Rhett Turner, and he was just an amazing man. And I remember doing In Living Color, and he called me, and he said, in other words, you're nailing it, girl. And so, that was such a big highlight for me for my whole life, for my whole career, was having Rhett Turner call me, who does Cher, and who does, everybody else, and Diana Ross. So that was a big deal. Mm-hmm.
That's beautiful. I guess, when I started in theater and in opera, and so I looked at those designers that were designing these beautiful costumes, and I wanted to be like them. Just as artists, I loved what they were doing, and I loved watching live theater, and I really studied the aesthetic distance and all that. So those were my mentors. I think my biggest mentors were the people that I knew who were writers and storytellers. Spike Lee, who took me shopping on his first movie and said, you have to buy multiples, and this is how we want the film to look, and the level of trust that he put in me to be able to flourish and grow as an artist. I felt like he was a mentor in that way because he just gave me the mantle and said, I know you can do it, and just, by the way, make sure you buy two.
You always need backup, so. We know Gersha's is leather, but what are some of your favorite fabrics to work with, and what are your least favorite?
Oh, me? You're asking me?
Oh, all of you. But
Go ahead.
if Gersha wants to talk more about leather, feel free.
No, I love leather, but I also love silk, and anything natural is always wonderful to work with as well. Just you get the best results, especially if you're aging or dying or anything like that. So those ones as well. I'm trying to think of my word. I mean, polyester was, but it's becoming a friend now because they're doing some really great things with polyester. So that's changing as well, and I think eventually there'll be polyester that's biodegradable, et cetera. So that's also happening. So, yeah. I don't know. I don't have a hated one, actually.
No.
I mean, I agree with her. Leather is pretty great. And denim can be your
yeah.
best
Denim.
friend or your worst enemy, depending on where you want it to go.
Have a denim mishap?
No, but taking a pair of denim jeans and making them, like a raw denim pair of jeans, and you want it to be worn, and that's the only one that you have, and it's hours and endless to get it to the perfect place, to where it fits, and you can tell, or those crispy clean, I don't know who those people that iron it is, but so those kinds of things, but everything's changing, it feels like, and so there's a lot of opportunity, to play around, and there's so much you can
Yeah.
do to it now too, so
Yeah.
technology-wise.
Yeah, because we're doing a lot of printing on fabric now, and it has to be done on a synthetic fiber.
Yeah.
You're actually being reintroduced to synthetic fibers because you have to get them on bodies, and people have to wear them because they actually do work beautifully in the printing process. And there's also 3D printing on fabric, where now we are entering another realm. So, I think the sky's the limit. There's really no favorite go-to fabric, but I do love when something is mixed with fine wool or silk. It just has a suppleness and a beauty, and it wears so well that you can depend on it.
Michelle, what about you?
All of it.
Give you every fabric.
I heard you say you like texture. I'm a texture queen.
Yeah.
I love texture. So I think that when you're creating your costume, it's like leather, and then you have your silk and your suedes, and I love all of that. So
That's the one that really pops off the screen when you.
and I think
see
as a
it.
costume designer, I think that's what we're here for. I mean, I think most of us, we're into fabrics. We love texture. We love fabrics.
Well, lastly, what was the first thing you ever designed, whether professionally or just when you were a kid and sketching and messing around?
As a kid, I designed things for my Barbies. I remember taking my mom's very valuable lace and my mom used to have these really great McCall magazines. I don't know if you remember them, the big ones. And they had always a section for your dolls in the back. And they had, this one particular one had how to make a bed out of a milk carton. And you trimmed it with lace. So I took my mom's very expensive lace and trimmed these Barbie.
Did you get in trouble?
Oh yeah, big trouble. But I feel like it's where I started. It's making those things in the beginning was what kept just keeping going and doing that, and then also just making things for myself because I grew up in a prairie province where there wasn't a lot of fashion and a lot of stores to get things. So I always wanted things from the magazines, from Vogue magazines. So I was always making things for myself and adjusting things that I found in the stores that I could find locally.
Mine was Little Red Riding Hood. When I was like 12 years old, we had our little sewing machine, and we designed our in the garage. So we did a production, and we made trees out of cardboard and everything else. So
You did production design too, yeah.
yes, I did. My stepmother was a drama teacher at Marshall High School. So that's when I was around theater. My hope as a young woman, I was around theater. So that was my thing. Little Red Riding Hood.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think I remember making pillows with my grandma at one point, but I didn't really.
counts.
Yes, but
Yeah.
It didn't really. I didn't recognize what I might have done until I arrived in Los Angeles and kind of became encouraged in meeting people and getting interested in the film industry. But then if I look back, it was you were always creating something for your friends and, or for yourself, but I didn't recognize it until much later. I mean, yeah, I made, Wonder Woman costumes with my grandma, or, I designed my prom dress, but I didn't think about it, that was something that I didn't even know it existed. I didn't know this job, you could do it, until I met somebody and I was like, that's real? I mean, I didn't know how, you saw it on movies, but I didn't connect the dots. And so it was a quick learning process, I guess.
Oh, I guess for me, costumes happened in college, And but I was always into storytelling, spoken word. I love to perform. You know, I went to school to be an actress, and it didn't work out. And someone asked me to do the costumes for a play, which was Nevis Mountain Dew. And then I just kept doing costumes after that. So I don't know what my first costume was, but my love of costume design definitely came my sophomore year of college.